Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. Thank you for joining us today for the Larktale review. I did a comparison on this one recently, and I'll link that in the description below if you want to check it out. Today I'm just going to go over what I've learned using the Larktale day to day, the things that I like, the things that I don't like as much, could be improved, some of the things that you might want to know about just before you purchase it in case you're thinking about buying this one. I'll try and give you some good details, and hopefully this video will be helpful for you. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, my apologies if this is kind of like a weird angle. My husband is not here to help me today, so just gotta make do what we can, you know, mom time. I only have very little time to film, but I'm gonna start off with the handlebar. It has a really great, amount of adjustment that you can do. It can be tailored to many heights, and I really like that it goes completely flat and almost all the way up, so that when you're folding it to put in the car, actually, it's easier to tuck that handlebar away. I really do like the wrapping that it has, this leatherette covering that it has. It would be nice if you could swap it out more easily because it is sewn on there, but it is a good quality material. And other than this bar that comes across to, I guess, give support or stability. Sorry, it's my dog. I think this can be a little bit frustrating for taller kids, and it's the same on the other side, but the other side is the pull bar. But just if you have like really tall kids, maybe just think about that, because they could hit their head on this, and it does kind of, mess with the canopy a little bit as far as where their heads can be comfortable. But other than that, the handlebar is pretty good. Like I said in my last video, I wouldn't recommend putting a ton of weight on these kind of handlebars just because they do have this hinge. You don't want to cause premature stress on them and wear them out so that you might end up having a breakage or something like that for your handlebar. But other than that, it's pretty great. The other thing that I like here is, here, let me see, I'll turn it so that you can see. It's got some cool storage on the front. Let me make sure that you can see that. Yeah, looks good. Okay, so it's got some good storage here on the front with some pockets here, and they're magnetically closed, which I think is super cool. And this is good for a water bottle. So even though I do prefer to have a parent console when I'm using my strollers or stroller wagons, I think that this is really nice that it's built in this way. So from here, I'll go to the brake. The brake is not my favorite. It's really loud, and mine is very like metallic sounding. Like it's like you really hear all the gears like moving around in there or whatever and scraping. So brake is not my favorite. It's kind of sharp too, so I wouldn't want to wear open-toed shoes with this, very often or things like that. But if you're wearing like sneakers or whatever, it's fine. It's just a little loud, so if your kids are sleeping, be aware of that. But it does have a really good exposed back bar here if you're going to do some curb hopping. It's really easy to get up those little, bumps like that. I will say though, I know I said this before in my last video, but I found that the Larktale has good push, no problems if I have one kid in the stroller wagon, just like on this side. But once I put my second kid in, even though if you want to follow the rules and have the best push possible, you want to put the biggest kid over the big back tires. That's going to give you the best chance of a good push. But I find that even if I put my big kid back here and my little one up there, the push is just not very good on the Larktale for me. It gets more akin to like the bus feeling that you can get with some doubles. So for curb hopping, I don't really recommend very well having a ton of weight in here, because it does make it really difficult with how long the Larktale is to get it up over the curb. But it is a bonus that there is this bar here in the back that's easily accessible. My husband was very impressed with the fact that the Larktale has suspension, and you can feel it and you can see it. If you're pushing down on this area, you can see it's moving up and down. That's going to help you going over grassy fields and things like that where there's little uneven bits of terrain. I think it does help, going over bigger bumps in the sidewalk cracks and things like that. So that is also a pretty nice feature on the Larktale. Okay, so I turned the Larktale around so you can get a side view again. I want to comment on these tires. I do like the material on the Larktale tires. It's rubbery, it's got good traction here, and I find that helps with things like snow. I do think that they could be a little bit thicker if they really want to be all-terrain. But I think that they are pretty good, and the size is very good as well. That helps it get over the bumps and things like that a lot better. I also want to remark that they are very easy to take off. My only thing is that the back tires, the center here, when you remove them, that's the button that you remove them, the center piece just like falls out. So if you're not being very careful or you're not very aware of it, you could lose that piece. I mean, that to me, I could see myself doing that. So you just want to be careful about that. But it is nice that they are so easy to take on and off, you know, for trunk purposes and all sorts of things, storage. That to me is a huge plus. And I also think it's a big plus that the front tires lock in place, because some stroller wagons don't have that option, and it really does enable you to do different terrains better. So it is a very nice feature. My one nitpicky thing is that the thing to lock it in place on the front tires, it's a little bit difficult. It's very particular. You have to get it in the right spot exactly before it will lock. So that's just a little bit annoying, but it's not a huge deal. It's nice to have the feature. I'd rather have the feature and have it be very particular than not have the feature at all. So that's quite nice. The other thing that we can talk about here is the optional footwell. This is kind of like a game changer. I know for months ahead of release, everyone was very excited about the Larktale design, that it had this optional footwell and the recline. Those two things are really, really big news. So just for functionality purposes, I'm not a big fan of soft footwells. I know I've remarked on that in the past. I do like that it has this bar here to give a little bit of protection, maybe to the feet, you know, when you're going over like a real tall curve or something like that. I think that's good. So I know the optional footwell is a big game changer for a lot of families. I do like the material that is made out of, and the inside, it's very wipeable, very, you know, stain resistant, you know, pretty nice like that. And it does have an option where you can unzip the bottom to let all, you know, any shoe gunk or whatever just like fall out if it's dirt or whatever it is. So I think that's pretty great. I do like that. I will say the optional part of the footwell is really nice to have. However, it's not the most practical thing, because you have to like squeeze the crotch buckle out of the flap that converts it to be a flat footwell again. So it's kind of like annoying to do. And if you're thinking like, oh, optional footwell, I'll just be able to change it on the go, and if baby wants to take a nap, they can just lay down and it'll be really easy to do. It's not like that. So I know some people that have older kids that they don't need to buckle them. They just leave the buckle completely undone so that it's easier to do. So that's an option, but for me, it's just not something that I really use because it's just not that easy to do. Other than that though, I mean, it's nice. It's just something to consider as well, that the seating, they each carry 50 pounds is the max weight limit on each of the seats, and having that optional footwell, it compromises the weight limit. This thing could probably have carried a lot more weight if it didn't have that footwell. So I'd be interested to see if Larktale comes out with an option that doesn't have an optional footwell and maybe gives you a higher weight limit in the future. For example, I know that a lot of people ask about the footwell in the Pronto, if it's going to be an option, and if it does come that way, it would decrease the weight limit capability, which is one of Pronto's outstanding features, because it is like 175 versus something like your average stroller wagon that's like 50, 55 per seat. So just something to consider as well. Something else that I do like about this is that it has a built-in, here, this is like the flap, you can see it, but it has built-in storage. I'll put a picture of it when I edit the video. But, you know, you can put water bottles, sippy cups, snacks, games. You can put an iPad in there if, you know, kids like to play iPad or what have you. So I do like that built-in storage is so convenient. And something I also really like about the Larktale is that on the different pieces and parts of it, for example, the storage basket, this storage compartment on the inside, the actual wagon itself, it very clearly notates for you the weight limits for each part. So you're not gonna, you know, just not know, take a guess, and then maybe it breaks or something. I really like that that's very clearly noted for you know, for our use. The thing that I'm not that crazy about on the inside, the harnesses, they have like, it has an optional 3 and 5 point harness, so that's really great. I really do like that. The only thing that's kind of a bummer is that every time you use it, you have to rethread the shoulder strap through the waist strap, and they don't stay together. I know some moms like zip tie it or something to keep them together, because otherwise, I've had this happen many times using the Larktale, that my youngest just doesn't want to sit still. And if he's there wiggling around and I'm trying to feed this darn thing through there and I'm just like getting so frustrated, you know, because it's just like he's falling apart or it's not lining up exactly right or whatever it is, you know, it can just be a real pain in the butt. So, I mean, just something to think about if you're going to get this, just, you know, I would zip tie it. I would zip tie it because it's not worth the struggle. Or I guess if you have older kids and they don't need the harness at all, maybe you just take it off. But it is adjustable to different heights, which is obviously really great. And the material on the inside of the Larktale for the seating area, not like the footwell part, is not wipeable. I think it's like a jersey. It's very soft. It does have cushion to it, which is obviously quite comfortable. I think for me, because I do spend a good chunk of my year somewhere, you know, very hot, I would probably get a liner. I've seen some other moms that have liners for the Larktale. So I'd probably get a liner just because I think it would be a little bit sweaty in hot climates to have like that jersey material. But otherwise, just something to note that it is very comfortable and luxurious feeling, but it's not wipeable. So you will get, you know, stains and things like that. And it's not machine washable either, spot clean only. So if you are gonna be a long-term heavy duty user of the Larktale, have kids eating snacks and drinks and whatever else in there, I would invest in some liners because it would just not be fun to try and clean like a spilled drink out of there or something like that. But other than that, it is very comfortable material, and the outside is a durable material. This is more wipeable and weatherproof, definitely, than the inside. So just something to consider if you have messy kids like I do. Okay, so I turned the Larktale one more time so that I can go ahead and show you a couple of features that are on the far end of the stroller wagon. One, this is meant to be the pull function for the Larktale. It's not adjustable, it doesn't come out. So, I mean, realistically, even if you tuck this away, you're kind of like pulling it onto your feet. It's very close, you know, it's just as far as your arm goes back. If you have a lot of weight in there, kind of the point of a pull function that makes it useful is, for example, if you're at the beach. If you're at the beach and you need to get the front tires, the small tires, up out of the sand because they're digging in the front and it's hard to get the thing moving. So for example, something like the baby trend that has a wagon that comes out, or a pull handle that comes out from underneath and allows you to lift the front of that stroller wagon to get the small tires from digging out of the sand, get the big tires doing most of the work, very useful. This is not going to do that. You're just pulling it straight down further into the sand, and you don't have a very comfortable angle from my experience. And you don't, it's just not good. That's my assessment. And similarly to the other side, this makes it so that you have a limited amount of time in which a child can ride in this, even if your child is not 50 pounds yet, but they're tall, or if they're older, you know, if they're 6 years old and, you know, they're even average height, I don't think that they would be able to ride this very long. My son is not even 50 pounds yet, so he hasn't hit the weight limit, but this is already, like, with the canopy on, not very comfortable. Something that he does really enjoy is the recline function. Very easy to use. And, you know, I think older kids would love it. You're not supposed to use the Larktale for 6 months and under. So I don't think it would be very useful for a baby in that sense that, you know, they're not really that small when they're using this. But, I mean, older kids love this. I'm sure it's more comfortable for naps and everything like that. So it's nice. However, you know, when the canopy's on, it does come up at this angle that just cuts off. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. Kids need me. That happens. So what I was saying was that when the canopies are on, the material is pulled very taut from here to here. So, I mean, pretty much your kid's head can't go past this area. Sorry. Okay, so other than that, I do like the recline. Very easy to put down, put back up. The basket, I also like. It's, you know, I don't like the placement of it. I think being out here is very weird to me. I wouldn't put stuff out here because on the opposite side of the wagon to me, it could very easily get stolen. There's no covering for the basket. And the design of the basket itself is fine. It's okay, but I just don't like the placement of it, and I don't think you can change the location of it. It seems like the hardware is here firmly in the front. It does have a big open space so you can put a diaper bag or something like that. That's pretty great. It's got one little pocket on the inside, like a mesh pocket, which is cool. I like that. I like when they have more pockets because it's easier to organize things in specific places and you know where they are, instead of just having them kind of tossed about in there and you're just like rifling around trying to find the diaper cream or something. Something that I do also like about this is on the bottom, it has this pocket that's mesh. And I've seen that people put like their rain cover there if it rained and they want it to dry up or something, you know. That way it's not getting the basket itself wet and it can kind of dry up that way. I'm sure you could put like beach towels, dirty shoes, you know, things like that in there. I think that's really great. I love that. So that's really nice. The thing that I'm not crazy about, other than the placement of this basket, it has really good material. Very tough, sturdy material, easy to clean, really nice. I don't like the way that it folds away because it kind of doesn't. It has like this loop here, and that loop attaches to this little toggle thing here. So even when it's put away, it's not really put away. It kind of juts out anyway, and it's not very like compact. So even fully stored away, it's still like very flouncy and just not what I think is very like aesthetically pleasing. Or even with the fold, it does add some, you know, length, which also, to bring up the fold, this is, I think I can say confidently, of all the stroller wagons I've ever had, like the bulkiest. I know I got a couple of comments from my comparison video of people saying, you know, that it's like, that it's not as bulky and that you can, I mean, I take the tires off. The canopies are not easy to take off. Some people do that whenever they put it in and out of the car. Each canopy has 6 attachment points. And I'm gonna tell you, the canopies are my least favorite thing about the whole Larktale altogether. So the thought of removing the canopies every time I take it in and out of the car, not happening at all. Not happening. So for me, I take the tires off and it fits in the back of my trunk. You can see that in the comparison video, but it's impossible to put in my car with a 3rd row up. So we're gonna have another baby. We're not gonna be able to have the Larktale. So just something to consider that way. I measured this, even when I put it like the most compact that I can, from the thing that's sticking out here to the thing that's sticking out over here, 16.5 inches at the most compact. The Pronto, I measured it to reference why the Pronto can fit behind my 3rd row and this one cannot. 8. When you take the tires off, 8. So there's a big difference. The canopies, I already took them off and I don't plan on putting them back on. I'm just gonna sell them, like I'm over it. I don't mind using the Larktale as long as I don't have the canopies on. If the canopies are on, one, it's not good coverage in the sense that once they're on, there's no peekaboo window, so you cannot see your child inside. And if you have a younger child like I do, or if you have an older child messing with a younger child, you want good visibility. So the fact that I can't see them, I don't like that. The other thing is when they're down, they kind of form like this cocoon. And it's like all encompassing almost, like there's barely any space to which child can see out. So their visibility is greatly impacted as well. And I know that there have been a fair number of people that have sold their Larktale because of that, because the kids are just complaining that they can't see anything. So I find that to be annoying. They weren't easy to put on, and I found that like when you have them on, I don't know if the thing is meant to be folded with them on, because when I would fold it, the zippers would get very, very taut and like tension to the point of sometimes like pulling them apart and like snapping one of the zippers on one side so that you have to like rethread it, and it's just very difficult. So I don't know if they're meant to be that way. Baby woke up. I apologize for any background noise, but I just really don't like them. The only thing that I really like about them at all, to be honest, is that they have built in on each side, like, well, not built in, like it's not stuck in there, but there's a pocket on each side for a mosquito net and one for like an all-weather cover. It almost seems like it's not really a rain cover because it's not rain proof, but it's like kind of like a plasticky thing. It's not see-through that you put over it. It has air holes. To be honest, it's completely hideous. I don't know who goes out there and just feels like confident that they look great with their Larktale with this cover thing on, because it kind of looks like a little prison. But I mean, if it gets the job done and that's what you need, I mean, it gets the job done. But it's nice that they're built in, but I just don't, it's not aesthetically pleasing. It's not very like easy to use. Canopies are just like, I mean, I can't believe that it's a separate purchase. $100 extra if you want your children to have shade from the sun. Like, that just seems that should be part of the, part of the deal. When you buy the thing, it comes with a shade. But so for me, it is definitely like a financial thing to consider. And when you're looking at something in a similar price point, or maybe something that's a little bit more expensive, keep into account too that it does have that added thing that if you want shade for your children, it's going to cost extra, and it's not the best shade in my opinion. It kind of feels like the Veer. Like the Veer, you end up buying 16 different things because it doesn't come with most of anything, and it just adds up, just really puts you in a whole other price range. So, I mean, I love their accessories. They have a great range of accessories online, misting fan and speakers and phone charger and like some really cool stuff that other brands maybe haven't come out with, or that, they're just thinking ahead. And I think that's really great. But I think some of the fundamental design things on here could be improved before coming out with maybe some more cool accessories. But overall, I wouldn't recommend this for people with very young children because it's not supposed to be used from 6 months and younger. And I wouldn't recommend it for people with very big kids because once they get too tall, they're going to hit this bar and not be comfortable, or they're going to hit like the weight limit, which 50 pounds is not very high. So either way, I mean, you don't get like that much longevity out of it. But I mean, so the things that are great about it are really great. I mean, the materials are very high quality. You can tell there's been thought and design implemented here in the tires, and things like that. The leatherette touches here. It comes with a cup holder. The storage options that there are really nice and well thought out. Like the one in there is definitely well thought out. So it depends what you're looking for in a stroller wagon. That's just my 2 thoughts, my 2 cents to rub together, if you will. I hope that it was helpful in some way. I really expected to love this one just because a lot of the stroller wagon moms that, in the community who are used to more of like a high-end bugaboo kind of a thing have really enjoyed these, but just for me, it just wasn't for me. I mean, we all have different preferences, but hopefully that helped. And thank you for joining us again on the channel. I know that there's more background noise and it kind of seems more impromptu today, but I really wanted to get this done for you guys and, kind of get another perspective out there, because I know a lot of the people that have been reviewing this, if you do find a review, it's usually from a brand ambassador, and you just can't tell what's opinion or what's, coming from the company or whatever like that. So I'm gonna tell you, I bought this. Nobody sent it to me for free. So, this is just from my using it every day, what I came up with. There's some good tests that I did in the comparison video. So if you want to see how this performs specifically on different terrains, I did snow, regular pavement, grass, and then some big bumps that I found in the road. Push-wise, it did pretty well over most of them. It's weird because usually pavement is the easiest one, right? Because it's just like a flat of pavement. But for me, I found that the pavement was the worst. It performed the worst if I had both kids in it. Because I live in a neighborhood that's got hills and some slanted sidewalks, uneven sidewalks, things like that. And a lot of sidewalks that don't have a little ramp for stroller, wheelchair, etc. And for me, that was the worst. I mean, having both kids in there trying to get either the other kid up onto the sidewalk or like trying to keep the thing going straight when I was on an incline, just like not good. But other terrains it did a lot better. Maybe that has to do with the suspension or the durability of the tires. They're really good. I don't know, I guess that's up to you to form your conclusions. If you want to watch the other video and kind of get some more insight, I do fold it and stow it in my car in the trunk, so you can see, kind of visualize what that would look like for you, and to keep in mind that the canopies, when folded, add about 24 inches of height onto the stroller wagon. So if you don't fold it with the canopies on, it would be a lot more feasible in other vehicles. But just, if the canopies are going to be a pain in the butt for you to take on and off, you're going to want plenty of trunk space because it does take up a lot of room. In any case, thanks for joining us on the channel again today. I'm going to be doing the W2 review soon. And so this is just the one I wanted to get out a little faster because some people have been asking for it. But if you have any questions, as always, hit me up in the comments. I try and answer, within a couple of hours. So that's it for me. In any way I can help, let me know. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for joining us.